So that shiny new game just came out, Crimson Oath, and you want to know if it's worth your time, right? Well, let's take a look at the game for some first impressions. Keep in mind this is not a full review, this is a quick look at the game. I played this game for 2 hours, and I'd say this game is fine. First off, one of the developers of this game contacted me about 5 months ago. I sometimes get emails about upcoming games, usually really small games, and this is the first game that's actually caught my attention. When I originally played the demo for this game, it was kinda rough. The dialogue in particular, all of the dialogue is voiced, except for the main character, and the dialogue was some of the worst recorded audio I've heard in a game. However, as of now on release, I can say that the audio has definitely been improved, but it's still not on par with a lot of games that I've played. It still sounds a bit off, in my opinion. They have improved it though, and that is commendable. It's my understanding that this is a self-funded game by a small team in China, so you could see how good English dialogue could pose a problem. You can play this game with Chinese dialogue, but I didn't test that. There were a few other improvements that I noticed from the demo, but anyways, let's get into the game itself. This is a Souls-like game inspired by 2 games in particular, Sekiro and Thymesia, 2 games I haven't played. The game world looks pretty good overall. I don't have too many complaints about the visuals. The game is also pretty linear, with a few different branching pathways that usually end up in the same area. I'm not sure if I've actually unlocked all the game's mechanics yet, but I can talk about what I have currently. For movement, I can walk, run, and dodge. And then you can also slow walk. Whenever you slow walk, you can sneak behind enemies and attack them for big damage. Then for combat, I have 2 different main attacks. One attack is to weaken an enemy's yellow bar, which you can think of like a guard or shield bar, and then the other attack, which coats the sword red, directly damages an enemy's red bar, which is their actual health. If you were to attack an enemy with your sword that damages health, but the enemy still had a yellow bar, then you do no damage basically. You'll need to constantly switch back and forth in order to kill enemies. Lower the yellow bar with your normal sword, and then quickly use the red sword to cut down their health before the yellow bar regenerates, because it will regenerate. An enemy's health bar, the red one, will not regenerate unless that enemy has a skill for it. Most do not. Then you have the parry mechanic used with your sword, and then you also have a gun. The gun has one primary use, and that is to counter a very specific enemy attack. Some enemies, usually the elite enemies or bosses, have red attacks. Red attacks cannot be blocked or countered at all, but if it's a red attack that also has a yellow orb in the middle or yellow flash, then that is when you can counter with the gun. When you do that, you'll break up the attack and the enemy will be momentarily stunned. Then you have actual skills, and 2 hours in, I have 3. One skill is a big wind-up attack with my sword, and it usually knocks the enemy over too. However, the wind-up takes quite a while, and it isn't really ideal for fast combat. The other one I have is a punch. It does a little less damage and has a little less wind-up too. My most recent one that I just got is a sword strike. It'll send out a red sword strike as a projectile, and this one also has very little wind-up time, so currently it's my favorite. You can have 3 skills equipped, and you can cycle through them. I just kept one equipped the whole time though, because I kept accidentally switching them mid-battle. These skills aren't infinite though. They use up the blue bar on the bottom left of the screen, which is your energy. The red bar is your health. Only these attack skills take energy. Dodging, parrying, and running are infinite. In the corner next to the bars is your ammo count. You'll find ammo as you play, or you could use a perk that will sacrifice health for ammo. You'll only receive the gun when you face the first boss too. As you play, you'll unlock more equipment, as it's called in the game. Really though, they're passive perks. There seems to be quite a lot of them, and you can have 12 equipped at once. So far I've only found 11 of them, so I haven't run into the issue of having more than I can actually have equipped at once, but I'll have that issue pretty soon. These equipment, or perks, will give you various benefits. For example, one of them will give 5% health back after defeating an enemy, and another will restore 8 points of energy after dealing damage. Also keep in mind this is a Chinese first game, so a lot of the dialogue and descriptions might read a little weird in English. I still did understand the gist of it though. Then you have consumables. You can have 6 equipped at once, and just like skills, you can cycle through them to have 1 active at a time. Some examples are rocks that you can throw at enemies, health potions, also known as blood vials, and letters. These letters you can place for other people to read online. I haven't tested it, but I did see other cases of people having left messages around. Like most Souls-like games, this game has an area where you can upgrade yourself and respawn when you die. Also when you die, you'll leave behind your souls. Whenever you respawn, you can go back and collect them. When you do interact with these small stone pillars that have a floating red orb, all of your health and healing items will be restored. Also, all enemies will respawn, except for bosses and elite enemies. You can also teleport to any of these other locations that you've already been to, and then you can craft and level up here as well. The crafting is only 2 items, at least so far. While playing, I'll find or receive a manifesto or anthology, and you'll need a certain amount of each, and then when you have that amount, you can craft 2 items here. One will give more health each time that you take a blood vial, and the other will up your max blood vial by 1. Now let's talk upgrades. They all take souls, which is the only currency in this game, and you'll find them as you play. You'll also earn them when you kill enemies. Upgrading health only upgrades your health. Faith increases your normal sword's damage, the one that attacks the yellow bar, and loyalty increases your max energy and also increases the damage of your sword that attacks the red health bar. There's 3 difficulties, and I played on the middle one. I found all of the normal enemies fine for me to fight. They were mostly easy. The elite enemies were up and down. Some were surprisingly easy, and others were almost boss-like with how hard they felt. All of them were still manageable though. The bosses made me struggle though. The first boss wasn't too bad. I beat it my second try. The third boss, the one that I fought towards the end of my 2 hours, was also not too bad. I beat it my second try again. The second boss though, the one with Pursuit General in its name, that one was insane. I can remember that in the demo, I couldn't actually beat it. Now though, I felt compelled to beat it so that I can actually talk about this game. It took me 20 minutes and 12 tries, but I did finally beat that boss. I'd call myself okay at Souls-like, but it's not my strong suit, and I struggled so much with this boss. First off, all enemies in this game are hyper aggressive. The elite enemies and bosses in particular, you'll need to constantly dodge, parry, and use the gun so that you can stop those special attacks. This isn't a big budget game, but it is a pretty decent Souls-like game, and the combat, which is the main focus, is actually pretty good here. The performance was good for me. I only had a very small stutter sometimes, but it was usually smooth. Despite whatever flaws this game may have, I find myself cheering it on, and I hope that this game finds success. This game has also had about 10 different updates since it's released, which was about 2 or 3 days ago. It's almost like every time I check, there's an update. All of the updates are addressing bugs, fixing things, or changing things. That shows me that there's a passion to make this game as best as it can be, and I like that. If you like Souls-like games and are willing to give a smaller one a try, then I think the combat in this one is pretty fun, though that's my personal opinion. Whether or not this is your type of game, I'll see you on the next one.